Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Freedom Thinking Community Group. My name is Dave Oh, God. Can I start? I can't even start. I've not started again. My name's Dave Elleray. I forgot my own name. My apologies. Dave Enneray. I've never called myself that in my life, but there you go. It's first for everything. The date is the 24th of March, 2025. Sorry, I was putting my watch down. That's how I knew what date it was. 24th of March. 2025. Like I say, if this is ever dug up in the future, and it's all there for prosperity and whatnot. Yeah, my guest speaker, Jenny Elleray, my wife, who is invisible right now, will be materializing and coming back into the density of Earth in the next 20 minutes or so, I would reckon. And she will just appear in this chair next to me and bring with her her wisdom and her guidance that I really, really cherish, in all honesty. I'm really, really grateful for. So yeah, Jen's on her way. It's something on Angie's. It's a curtain, Angie. I'm trying to clean this thing off my screen, but it's actually your curtain pole. But it's not that it's dirty, it's very black compared to the starkness of the white surrounding your room.
You know what? When I first looked at that, I was still like this with my finger going, "What's that mark on my
Yeah,
screen?"
I
I was
was.
exactly the same. Yeah,
It's a finial on your curtain pole.
the
Clean it
curtain.
up. Clean it up. Oh, nail the hair. It's not going so well so far. 1 second. I'll take a cup, drink of tea, 1 sec. Sorry about that. I inhaled a hair whilst admiring the curtain pole finial. I'll let Joseph in, I know him. All right. Hopefully I can get professional tonight. I can get my shit together and we can have a conversation. So this is a via donation event. And why we do it via donation? Why do we do it via donation? We do it via donation to make it accessible. We want this to be accessible to people. If you come across this video for whatever reason, you like it, please share it. Please share it with your friends. Please tell people about us. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please. Is there one other thing? I think there's one other thing. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please comment, Ange. Thank you very much. Please comment. We know that plenty of people watch these afterwards. Watch them on catch up, watch them on YouTube. If you have anything that you would like us to talk about and you cannot make it on a Monday night, you can't be here at 7 p.m. on a Monday night to be here, to be live, to be present in this call, but you have got other priorities and you wish for us to talk to a subject, please get in touch with us at info@freedomthinking.co.uk, or you can put a question in the comments and we will address it. We will speak to it. We will try and incorporate it into our next community group. If you wish to make a donation, we've tried to make it easier for people to make donations. You can become a member, I think, or anyway, we've done this thing called buymeacoffee.com, and it's in the link below. It's in the description on the YouTube below. Please click on that, make a donation. It's through donations that we keep going. It helps Jenny and I put food on the table, helps us dress our little girl. It helps us hopefully find a spot to live. So yeah, any donations are gratefully welcomed. If we are saving you a fortune from speaking to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, consider making a donation our way, please. Yep. Another way we can donate is PayPal. Our PayPal ID is info@freedomthinking.co.uk, and who knows, we might be able to save up enough money for me to cut my hair. It's getting a bit of a lauk on, as we say in Cumbria, when the grass is getting a bit long. It's got a bit of a lauk on. My hair's getting a bit of a lauk on. Needs a bit of a trim. I don't often look at myself. Right. Tonight, if anybody is still here after that monumental start, I wish Jenny was here, the professional was here. somebody has contacted us and they would like us to talk a bit about sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Can't actually remember what that is. I remember I used to do it. It was something I really enjoyed, but for some reason, since we since we acquired a coming up 3-year-old, it's something I seem to have stopped doing, like metal detecting. Um, yeah, and thinking straight, that's another thing. Yeah, it's sleep. It was a great thing to do. It was quite. I used to do it every day. Like it was like it seemed like I did it like every kind of few hours, 18 hours or so. I'd do this thing called sleep, and it was wonderful. Like I used to find that if I did sleep, it was like time disappeared. And it seemed like one day suddenly merged into another one. It was amazing. It was like I was like I'd go to bed on a Monday night. I'd do this thing called sleep. I'd wake up and it would be Tuesday. I mean, how that worked, I have no idea, but it was a truly magical thing that used to happen. And I don't know, since having Lucia, sleep seems to be something that both Jenny and I have stopped doing. Perhaps we should start again. I don't know. I think it's probably a good idea. I might start up. I'm going to think about that. Sleep. It's interesting. We have such ideas about sleep. We have such, we place such heavy beliefs upon sleep. We have beliefs on how sleep should look. Sleep. Got to get 8 hours. If I don't get 8 hours, I'm going to have a terrible day. I'll have a terrible day if I don't get 8 hours. If I don't get 8 hours sleep, I guarantee you the next day I will be an asshole. I can't help it. I just haven't had my sleep. I need to have 8 hours sleep. So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm awake for a couple of hours, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? The next day is going to be an utter write-off. Sorry, everybody who's just joining. We're talking about sleep. A question that we've been asked to speak to. And you probably joined at the right time because I'm only just feel like I'm kind of got the hair out my mouth that I inhaled and mispronouncing my own name. I feel like I'm coming to. Yeah, we have such heavy ideas about sleep, about how it needs to look in order for us to be okay. I remember when I used to believe that if I didn't sleep, that I was going to have a terrible day the next day. I remember that being a thing. I remember the ideas that and the stress that I compounded when I was lying awake in bed with this, I must get to sleep, putting myself under pressure to get to sleep. And in doing so, winding myself up because I thought that if I didn't get a full 8 hours sleep, that somehow that had the power to dictate how I felt the following day. It was only through waking up to this that I realized what an illusion that actually is, what a story that is. That is an enormous aspect of the illusion that many people live with the belief that they need to have a really good night's sleep in order to be okay. Now, don't get me wrong, having a good night's sleep is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's one of the best things. You wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I had a great full night's sleep last night. Wonderful. But I think equally wonderful is the realization when you wake up in the middle of the night and you realize You're okay. This does not dictate tomorrow. You know, scientists don't even know why we sleep. According to science, sleep is completely contrary to evolution, which I personally have my own beliefs about. But we have no idea why we sleep. We know it's healing, yes. Sleep is a wonderful healer, but we don't know why we sleep. We can also heal in our awake state. You know, a cut doesn't stop healing itself if we stay awake. It continues to heal. You watch somebody who's really, really tired suddenly get asked if they want to do something they truly enjoy. Watch the energy flow through them as they go, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Let's go and do it. Watch them suddenly come awake. We have such little idea, such little knowledge about why we sleep, yet we create such rigid beliefs and laws around it for ourselves. Ideas that we need to adhere to in order to be okay. Having Lucia has been one of those things that's shown this to us good and proper. Right, my little daughter, God bless her little soul. I would, God bless her little soul. She is a force of nature. She is full of life. She is perpetual energy. She's my guest speaker's just arriving, but she's just got to take care of something before she sits down. I'm going to allow her to do that. It's pudding. She's been putting Lucy to sleep, so she's eating a pudding. Yeah, having Luce and getting such little sleep, and Jen will speak to this better than me, more than me. God bless Jen. She's the one who's been crawled all over and fed off and all kinds of things. But it's so interesting, like how much we can still function when we have next to no sleep. How much through understanding that our experience is created in the moment. That is what dictates our experience of tomorrow, not what happened last night. How understanding how we are creating our experience moment by moment by moment is the real source of our experience of life. That is the thing that is dictating whether or not we're having a good or a bad day. There is no kind of mystical property of sleep that somehow does away with the law, the law of this consciousness law that you create or we create our own realities in the moment. It doesn't, lack of sleep does not make that law null and void. And I remember the realization. I remember listening to Valda Munro and Keith Blevins talk, and Keith talking about sleep and Valda talking about sleep. And she said to Keith said he got a real insight when he was having a right whinge because he'd been so tired and he hadn't slept last night. And Valda said, well, you can be tired, just knock off the whinging. And Keith said he saw something in that moment. Oh, I don't have to whinge about this. I can still have a good day. I remember hearing that and going, that is so true. That is so true. I remember working with this little boy in Johannesburg, and his mum asked if I could talk to him. His name was Gabriel. He was a beautiful little Jewish kid. I think he was about 8. Gorgeous little blonde lad. And he came and sat on my knee. I got I saw something about the lostness of mankind in that group. His mum said to me, I don't want to put him on medication. I said, why would you put him on medication She said, well, he's not sleeping and, he's really kind of struggling. And I said, all right. And then she went on to say, she said, Dave, I know all these kids personally. She said 95% of these kids are on Ritalin. These were tweens between the age of 8 and 13. And I said, why? Why the hell are they all on Ritalin? She said, well, they're not concentrating at school and, they're not behaving well in school or whatever afterwards. I'm like, are they interested in what they're learning at school? Are they interested? And it was then that, I mean, this is a bit of a sideline, but it was then that I realized that, all these kids were kind of medicated because they're not paying attention at school and we're going, oh, they're ADHD. Perhaps they're just not interested because I said to her, if I'm not interested in what I'm listening to, I will give it zero attention. I'm not mentally ill. I'm just not interested. I don't go listening. I don't go seeking out things to listen to that I'm not interested in. But at school, you're forced to listen to stuff you're potentially not interested in. And I remember saying to her, these kids don't need to be on drugs. They need to be learning about. So welcome my guest speaker. She joined us in the earth density and has arrived after eating a pudding.
Some of it.
Some of it. It's quite a lot on there.
It's quite a lot.
But anyway, getting back to, yeah, and I just said to him, I said, every single one of you is a genius, kids. You're a genius in what you love. Every single one of you is a genius in what you love. I hope one day you are allowed to follow your hearts and to put your power and energy into what you enjoy and learn and become a genius and bring new knowledge into this world. Do that, kids. Do it. Anyway, getting back to Gabriel. I remember sitting there with Gabriel and I was saying, wow, so you're saying I can't sleep. And I remember saying to him, Gabriel, what do you think about before you go to sleep?
Or are you trying to get to sleep?
Or while you're trying to get to sleep, yeah. And he said, I'm scared my mummy and daddy won't be there when I wake up in the morning. I said, that sounds like a very scary thought, Gabriel. Yeah. We had a little conversation about thought. I can't remember the exact conversation now. This would be 2018. Can't remember the exact conversation now, but we had this little conversation and I explained to him along the lines of what we share here. Just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. Yes, as we think, our realities are born, but that doesn't make them truths. And the fear that you're experiencing isn't coming from anything other than our own thought. I can't remember exactly what we spoke about, but we had this lovely little conversation. And I think did he spend the rest of the time sat on my knee, or did he
Sat next to you.
sat next to me? He came and sat next to me. I love that little kid. He was lovely. And we never saw anything of Gabriel. But was it 6 months later we went back? Was it this 6 month program we ran out there, wasn't it? Was it that
I
one?
don't know if it's the same trip actually, but we've been to Cape Town and back again. A month. I think it's about a month later.
Was it? I can't remember now. Been in and out of that spot. Well, our friend, she said, "Did you speak to a lad called Gabriel?" I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "How do you know? How do you know Gabriel?" She went, "Jewish geography. They all call it Jewish geography." I said, "All right." She said, "Yeah, I know his mum." She said he went home that night and he slept, just went straight to sleep. And then the next night he went through into her bedroom and he gave her his teddy bear, his mummy's teddy bear. This wasn't anything I spoke about. This isn't even my language. But he said, I don't need this anymore. My security is within me. I don't need this bear anymore, Mum. And she said he went to bed and slept. She said, and he slept ever since. The next thing he was sending us little YouTube videos that he was making on sleep, wasn't he? But the principle of Gabriel is the same for adults. Just because we've been on this planet for longer and now our concerns are perhaps more what we'd call real world concerns. finance, work, relationships, I don't know, global affairs, politics, I don't know. We think that somehow they're more fixed and rigid than Gabriel's ideas. But the same principle applies. I used to worry about waking up in the middle of the night because I used to be afraid of it. When I used to wake up in the middle of the night and my thoughts would go race at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it seems like the experience of the feeling and the worry and anxiety that I used to experience is so much more amplified at night time. You know, you can think about something in the daytime and you're like, oh, I need to sort that out. You can wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, this is going to kill me. This is going to break. What am I going to do? What are they going to say? I don't know. It could be anything. Blah, blah, blah. My theory on that is because our senses are very much dulled down. You've not got sight. You can't see because it's dark or whatever. And, you know, it's quiet. You're not really feeling or anything like that. So much of our consciousness now is placed upon thoughts. So because more of our consciousness is placed upon thoughts and feelings, they feel exaggerated. That's my theory upon that, why that feels so much more stark at nighttime. And then you'd wake up in the morning and go, why was I worrying about that? I have to admit that's not something that troubles me anymore, and I'm really, really grateful for that. But I do understand when people go through that, that's a really horrible thing. But it's good to be able to hold perspective upon it. The moment that changed for me was the moment I realized that I create my own reality. The moment that I realized that there is this unbreakable divine essence of life that lives me, and it cannot be destroyed, and it is the source of all experience. That was when that changed for me. I didn't go about trying to fix that problem. In fact, the greatest stumbling block, the greatest dam that lies between us and the well-being that lies at the heart of life, and the fulfillment and the peace that lies at the heart of life, is trying to fix a problem. Trying to fix the sleep is a problem. It becomes a problem in and of itself, which will keep people awake. In this conversation, I personally am trying to steer people away from trying to fix problems. It's so counterintuitive because people believe they need to fix the problem of sleep. No, we don't need to fix the problem of sleep. The problem of sleep will fix itself. The thing that we need to allow is for life to flow. We need to allow for life to live through us and to drop our judgments. I don't believe that us human beings are supposed to sleep solidly 8 hours a day. You know, you go into parts of Europe, they have this thing called siesta, where they will sleep for a couple of hours during the day and they will be awake. Their shops are open till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. People are still walking around shopping like it's part of their daytime. So it's only in certain cultures that it's believed that we need to sleep 8 hours a day. And I don't know, it's like when we let go of all of our beliefs of how sleep needs to look, and if we can let go of the ideas that it's ruining our life, because it's not ruining our life. The thing that's ruining our life through a lack of sleep is the idea that it's ruining our life, is the thought that it's ruining our life. Once that thought disappears, there's no experience of that whatsoever. You're just in whatever moment you're creating in that moment. And coming back to the truth of life is really the answer to the problem of sleep, like any other problem, because it truly isn't any different. There is no difference. We're very, very good at kind of compartmentalizing things as well. This is more real and this one's more kind of This is more solid, and but it's true, isn't it? If you don't get any sleep. But it's funny, you don't get any sleep and you're still all right. They did experiments on people who they kept them awake for days, and they were playing table tennis and all kinds of things. There was no drop in their performance over the days, apparently. So no, the sleep thing is something that comes up quite a lot, and it's something that personally for me I've learned to accept that there are going to be nights I don't sleep. There are nights I don't sleep. Sometimes, usually, if I check, why haven't I slept? And I check, was it a full moon? Quite often it's a full moon. I don't know why that is. What is it about the frequency of the moon that's keeping me awake? Why me and not other people? I don't know. And why is it only just started really over this last couple of years? I don't know. But there's so much more to sleep that we don't understand. But one of the things we can learn to do is relax. Relax. If we're not sleeping, it doesn't mean there's something wrong. Perhaps don't drink the coffee before you go to bed. That might help. I don't drink caffeine after 9 o'clock and after 9 o'clock at night, bloody hell, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't drink caffeine because I know that can keep me awake. But relax. Relax. Overthinking and stressing about not being able to sleep is not conducive for sleep. It will not destroy you not sleeping. Stress will destroy you. Not sleeping won't.
I know it's about sleep, but is there a particular question?
Sleep. I thought you'd be great because you don't sleep.
Is there a particular question?
No, just that lady who asked us about sleep.
Oh, okay. When you were speaking, a couple of things came to me. Because when I was separating from my ex-husband,
Good night to that.
I had about 6 weeks of just not being able to sleep at all. It'd just be like watching the clock, and then I'd maybe get like an hour or two, and then it'd be morning. But I knew then it was because I just couldn't get it all off my mind. I was running things a million miles an hour, and I think one of the things I noticed was I was incredibly kind to myself over that period of time, and didn't judge the fact that I wasn't sleeping. It was just what was happening. And sometimes I'd get up and I learnt to knit again. I did some crocheting, I read some books. Like
You were obviously awake an awful lot because you knitted me like a 4 meter long scarf.
it's true. But it was an interesting thing but I'd been around Keith and Valda, who spoke a lot about this idea of, if you've had a bad night's sleep, you can have a bad day the next day. So I think that had been helpful to me. And then more within the last few years, like I'm trying to think when it was. It's before 2020. We had about 9 months where I wasn't sleeping. I was getting a lot of nosebleeds, and I couldn't understand it. So I checked all the logical things of like, am I watching screens before bed? Am I having caffeine? Went through all these things, and it just didn't make sense. And I didn't seem to have anything on my mind. I felt like I was quite relaxed. And then about 9 months in, I don't even know why, you went into a cupboard in our room, and the smart meter had been fitted in our bedroom. And I mean, it took quite a lot of persuasion, but eventually you had it removed, and then I started sleeping again. So I don't know if it doesn't. Loads of people have smart meters, and it doesn't affect their sleep. That seemed to affect
But
my
one of the
sleep.
things that they did when I contacted the electrical supplier, not even the electrical supplier, the National Grid, the electrical supplier, the intermediaries, the company that build the billing company, they said you can't talk. I said, please, can you take it out? And they went, no, that's regulation. I said, well, I'm going to take it out. And they said, if you take it out, that's damage to our property. So if it's inside my house, it doesn't matter. So I rung up another billing company and said, right, look, I've got this problem. I've got this smart meter fitted in my bedroom. And they said, you what? I So I've got a smart meter fitted in my bedroom. You're not supposed to have them fitted in bedrooms. I'm like, no, I know because it's keeping us awake. I said, for weeks we've been awake and we didn't know why. And they said, right. I said, I want it taken out and I want a dumb meter putting back in, please. Yes, no problem. So they came round and we changed companies. They came round, took the smart meter out and put a dumb meter back in. And we did, your nosebleed stopped and we started to sleep and our bills went down.
Yeah, so that was
Top tip.
one of the things is just, is there anything that going on that I could help? But I think the main thing that's helped me, like since having Lucia, because she slept really well for the first 5 months, she was amazing, and then and she's now coming up to 3, and it's been like the last couple of years have been insane. Like sometimes I'm just like, I've watched every single hour go past, and then to then get up and have a very, very energetic 2-year-old to hang out with. What I've seen is in the middle of the night is recognizing that actually a body laying in a dark room resting is doing a lot of the good stuff that happens during sleep. It's not as good as sleep, but it's still incredibly beneficial. I know that when my dad was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, one of the things he had to do is just go and lay in a dark room, and just not read, not do anything, just lay there. Because they said that there's loads of things that can happen within our body in terms of rest. And for some reason that stuck in my mind. So I think since having Luce, I've thought I'm still in a dark room, still relatively quiet. If she's not sleep talking or whatever she's doing.
Kicking.
Yeah, but still quiet.
No, it hits in the ear.
But it's like you were saying, I've just got so much less thinking around sleep and the quality of sleep and how much sleep. For a long time, I'd be telling you like the exact amount of time I think I'd had to sleep and things, whereas now I'm like, it is what it is. And in the day, I go easy on myself because sometimes if I've been awake nearly all night and I'm not quite as patient as I usually am, I can notice it like wanting to beat myself up. And then I'm like, actually, do you know what? You're doing pretty well on 2 hours sleep. With me and her have been having all kinds of colds and bugs and all kinds of things. You're doing all right. So I've stopped beating myself up. I've accepted that right now at this stage in our life with a toddler, we're not going to get that much sleep sometimes. And then when she does, I'm just like, wow, it feels mad to have 3 hours consecutive sleep. It's incredible.
Luxury.
It feels like it is. Whereas before I would have been like, I could go to bed at 9 and not get up until 9. I used to love sleep. It seems like a long time ago since I've had good sleep.
I forgot what it was.
Well, because Rusty had us up at least 3 times a night for a couple of years before he passed away. So it's been a long time since I've had a good night's sleep. But I think the principles has helped me because I haven't got the whole massive story around it and this whole idea of what sleep's supposed to look like and an expectation of what my sleep is supposed to look like. So without the expectation, you just face each moment as it is. And I think that's been really, really helpful. Because every night I'm like, oh, maybe she's going to sleep all the way through. And we're just going to wake up in the morning and be like, wow, how did that happen? And I've got a friend who's got a 7-year-old who still doesn't sleep all the way through. So that's been insane. But I think if we can keep, I didn't sleep last night, full stop, rather than I didn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep the last night. I've got insomnia. I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. And I can't function very well without sleep. And if I don't have this, like there's just so much story that comes around sleep for all of us. With less of the story, there's just the fact I didn't sleep last night. And I remember thinking when I had like the 6 weeks of just a couple of hours, if that, a night, it's like, wow, the amount of people I'd spoken to prior to that. I'd be like, it's about your mind and like, fucking hell, when you can't sleep, you really just cannot sleep. This is insane. Like, it was the weirdest experience of just being wired in the middle of the night. And I thought, this is what people have been talking to me about. But I could feel the buzz of my mind in that time. and I could see that there was nothing that I could intellectually do to stop it. And that the more I just allowed it, and then sometimes I would just take myself away and do something because I couldn't sit with it any longer. And it's normally then, if I've been sat knitting for a couple of hours, I'd go back and just pass out because I'd finally got there. But it was an allowing and a relaxing into, this is just what's happening right now. And without the huge story, it's just this. And it's just this moment. And I don't know about tonight or next week or next year. I don't know. I'm laughing.
Do you remember when that person who we looked after took a sleeping tablet? And then they took a sleeping tablet.
It was like, it was a last resort. So she took it
Yeah.
at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. shook it. She got to sleep, was it 3 o'clock the following day?
3 p.m. the following
Yeah,
day.
3. Right. So she did a full, like, yeah, she did.
From 7 till 3.
Yeah, from 7 o'clock in the evening till 3 o'clock in the
Like
afternoon.
20 hours or something.
No sleep. Then she just crashed, didn't she? Woke up a few hours later and carried on. I just want to say, when I'll come to you in a moment, a couple of things that just kind of hit me. We are energetic beings. We are energetic beings. There will be fluctuations in our being. That's all right. And stay away from looking at the physiological effects of lack of sleep. They won't serve you.
Yeah.
They don't serve. We've got a friend who's been told by somebody who knows all about stuff that, all the physiological effects of stress, what it does this to your blood system, it does that. And I'm like, what use is that to you? He's like, yeah, but that's what it's doing. It's doing all this terrible, it's doing this to my body, it's doing that to my body. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And what use is that knowledge to you? It's of no value. It's just people trying to sound clever. Maybe they've discovered something about the body this is what's happening. But to the individual, it is of no value. All it does is bring another layer of thinking. It provides something more for us to worry about. Don't look at it. It won't bring any value to your life. It won't help you sleep more. It won't make you feel better. The wise people of the world, the likes of, I don't know, Buddha, Jesus Christ, Sid Banks, they did not know about the physiology. They didn't need to. They understand consciousness. They tried to explain reality. Understand reality, and the physiological stuff will take care of itself. Let go of your stresses and worries, your thoughts that you holding on to that are just thoughts. They're nothing more. They're nothing more substantial or real. Realize what's going on. Realize what you're doing to yourself. Realize you can let that go. Let it go. And the physiological stuff will take care of itself. We have looked at ourselves as some physiological beings, and consciousness is an emergent of the body. False. Consciousness first. Mind over matter. Mind over matter. Okay. No. Yeah. Mind over matter. Wend.
Hi guys. Everybody. Jenny, while you were talking about, the good old days when you used to be able to sleep 12 hours before you were a mom, and wasn't that great? There's something at the age of 34, 35, was diagnosed with what's called premature ovarian failure. Your body will never have babies. So I got used to that idea. It took me many years to not cry when I talked about it, but that was a long time ago now. But there are times when I feel like there are parts of me as a woman, as a person, as a mature adult that has some maturity missing, some developmental stages missing as a human because I wasn't a parent, because whether I had the babies through my own body or if I had care of an infant to an 18-year-old 24/7, that builds certain muscles and certain. So the reason I'm talking about that is because that's a story too. Like, if you read the Bible or whatever, there are barren women, people, there are people that have babies and there are people that don't have babies, and people that want babies, people that don't want babies, people that abort baby, you know what I mean? Like it's all a mix in there. It doesn't mean that I'm not the person that I was meant to be or whatever. But what strikes me is that women, men, people have been having children in their homes, screaming babies since the dawn of time. So I bet you don't have any trouble walking the pram or being in the park and finding other women who are like, oh my God, I haven't slept in years. I wouldn't know a night's sleep if I fell on it, right? So there's something, I don't know if the word is okay about that. Something like the human species was built to go sleepless for a few years with a baby, a lone person in the house. That's that's just it's part of what, I don't know if Dave likes this word, evolution or whatever, the human condition. I mean, that's just the way it is. And every person that you see walking around kept their mother awake years ago. Every single one of us did that, right? And yet somehow our mothers and fathers still talk to us for the most part and still offer us a cup of tea once in a while. So it's just interesting to kind of, the story I make up is I'm not really as fully human as my female female counterparts who've been up. I haven't had nobody's been interrupting my sleep for the past 66 years. I'm fine. I haven't had to stay up night after night and walk a baby and hope the baby's fever goes down. It's not been my experience. But I have my own experience. I'm still a mature adult or whatever the word is. I'm still an adult that's viable. Just because I haven't had children doesn't make me inviable. And so there's a there's a story that I have created around, oh well, I'm not as mature. I haven't been through all the maturation processes that a woman who's had a baby's had. So I'm operating at a bit of a deficit. And it's a story just to say I haven't had as much sleep in the past 2 years, so I must not be as healthy or smart or whatever. So I'm just kind of corroborating this notion of what we make up about things, what we assign as good, bad, helpful, not helpful, healthy, not healthy, useful, not useful, is just whatever it is that we're talking about, but it's not the be all and end all. And like I love what you just said, Dave, before that about your cortisol goes up when you're under stress, and this happens and that happens. We can measure it, we can look at it on scientific, and you're like, what does that good does that do the average person? Except to say, I shouldn't be stressed. I shouldn't be stressed. My cortisol is going all wacky. Like, does that really impact the blood levels or whatever? So it's and it's not to say knowledge is bad, but it's of limited use in a day-to-day life of a human. It's of very limited help. So that's all
Yeah,
I got.
I can't see any value that knowledge would bring me. I can see how it might be useful to somebody who's trying to create some kind of, I don't know, tincture or something to counteract something. I can see the value to them, but not to me. I'm not doing that. I'm just an average human being.
I like what you said that went about with mums. It's just totally normal that no one gets any sleep.
Yeah, I like that.
Like it's normal. So it's not a thing. It's just like, oh no, of course we don't sleep anymore. What do you mean sleep? But it's a normal thing. So no one thinks there's a problem because there's a reason. And I think it's often we seem to deal with things easier if we know why.
Mm.
And I think when we don't know why, we drive ourselves mad trying to figure out why. And I
We
think
always assume the worst, don't we?
Well, I don't know. I think we just drive ourselves mad
Yeah.
trying to figure out why. I've had a busy day. I've done exercise. I'm exhausted. I've got a dark room. I've done everything right. I'm still not sleeping. We drive ourselves mad then trying to think of the reason. We need to know why. And I think one of the Sid's tapes, he says, you know, sanity really is seeing life as is, not how we think it should be, but
Yeah.
just being in the moment and seeing life as is.
When you can see the object, and the object may be not being able to sleep, without attaching a feeling to it, without going, oh, that is the reason why I feel like I feel. No, the reason why we feel like we feel is because of the perception we're creating of that object. I can't sleep in any given moment. That's why we feel like we feel. There's a separation, there's a division. And that division is the illusion of life.
I think there's something as well that came to me was it's to really just deeply listen to ourselves. And I think sometimes when I have had other periods of not being able to sleep, it's because there's something on my mind that I need to address that I've maybe been avoiding. So just listening to that. And then, like, I know sometimes there has been, you know, there is a physical reason. So I know for my mum, it was something to do with magnesium. So it was magnesium suddenly got rid of. So it's like we are these spiritual beings, but sometimes if we listen to ourselves, it's like, oh, your body needs this. And like I know with Lucia, she needs to move her body or she'll still sleep, but she'll literally be all over the bed. She needs to move. Your sister needs to move.
Yeah.
They're just so full of energy. So I think it's
Vampires.
respecting her,
Vampires.
respecting the form and listening deeply to ourselves. And I think there may be something that we need to do. There may be someone that we could then say, oh, actually, you know what? I want to speak to that person. You know what? I'm going to try herbs. Like, I think sometimes I know for myself, I was like, the principles is it. Because actually, the principles is pointing to the ultimate true reality. It's the truth. It's pointing to what's true, what's before. You know, the God, you know, within religion, God, it's pointing to that force. But then I know as a being here on this planet Earth, there's certain things that I can do that can really, really help me. And to listen to that. And I think I thought, oh no, I shouldn't ever see like a massage person or an osteopath. I'm like, no, it's all thought. And it's true, it is all thought. But that doesn't mean there aren't things in this world that we can do that help us. And like with Lucia, I know if I take her downstairs, give her a bath, I massage her feet, we do slow story time, we have songs, we turn off the light, she's way more likely to fall asleep. So there's certain things I can actively do to help her sleep, which then helps me sleep. So I think it is that balance between seeing the fact that we are these consciousness beings, but also we have this body in this form. And is there something that our body needs that would help it? And for my mum, it was magnesium. And it was a game changer. Within a week, it suddenly changed everything. So I think sometimes people are like, you're saying all of this, but actually, is there anything else? It's like, well, listen to yourself. What makes sense? We have this incredible intelligent system. We have this incredible intelligent mind. Is there something I need to do different? Is there something that could help me?
And other people have it as well, you know, and perhaps those other people have, for whatever reason, like the kids in Johannesburg, you know, one of them happens to be particularly interested in sleep, because there are people on this planet who are fascinated by sleep. And they study it and they become genius. Seek them out, speak to them, use other people's genius.
I did actually text our friend. If she got back to me. Not yet. I'll have to text you if she gets back to me. But she was an insomniac for years and then she's written books about insomnia.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know, because she wrote a book about insomnia before coming across the principles because of her journey with it. But I just wanted to hear her take as somebody that had had years of being an insomniac and then written a book about it and then coming across the principles. So I was
I spoke
fascinated.
to her about it.
Yes, I've asked her just to send me.
Yeah, I spoke to her about it, and she said, well, when I came across the principles, it changed my whole book. She said, no, that the principles answers the lack of sleep thing.
for her.
For her is what she said, yeah. So yeah, it's you know, one of the greatest problems we face with sleep is we don't even know what it is. So we're all running around in the dark trying to find the answer, but none of us actually know what sleep is. So I just know in my life the things that, if I want to have a nice life, a more peaceful life, a more wonderful life, don't make issues out of things. Notice when I'm turning something into an enemy, especially something like sleep. Notice when I'm turning it into a monster. Notice when I'm turning it into a dam, a hurdle, a mountain to get over. Notice when I'm doing it. The only way we can possibly do that is with our own minds, by the way we're thinking about it in any given moment. So just notice. This is the principles conversation is purely a noticing. It's purely a noticing. It's an awakening. It's a realization. It's realizing. It's becoming aware of. That's all we need to do is when we notice ourselves kind of getting lost, you know, it doesn't even matter if we get lost. It doesn't matter if we have dark thoughts. It doesn't matter if our minds create these frigging terrible futures. It doesn't matter. Relax. You're okay. It's the mind thinking. And the more awareness we can have, not into necessarily the thinking. You see, my point, my guidance is always towards becoming aware of experience itself. Sleep is an experience. Awake is an experience. They're both experiences. Okay, becoming aware of the experience is where the magic lies. Last week I likened it to the window. We look through the window, but we pay so little regard to it. We're interested in what's outside of the window and what's inside of the window. We're not interested in the window until it goes all cloudy or it smashes or something. Then we might get interested. But our experience is like the glass. It's the thing we're looking, it's the eternal event that's taking place, experience. It's the only reality we ever actually encounter. And starting to become aware of how it works, how we create this experience because of something that we give the word consciousness to, some force, this pre-existing force that mankind did not invent, this unbelievable, inexplicable, magical reality creating force called consciousness, called thought, the power of thought, called mind, whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. Just different words to describe different facets of the same diamond. It's like starting to become aware of we live in this thought-created dream reality, which looks entirely true and real and plausible. And the problem is, you turn on the television and you're going to be listening to people who are lost in the illusion, telling you the truth. They're not telling you the truth. They're telling you a perspective. You know, watching the news and stuff like that, bringing around all the horrible, stressful things, inviting them into your front sitting room and going, here, problems of the world, welcome into my sitting room. Come and fill my consciousness with all the stuff that the editor or somebody wants you to listen to. It's like, that's another thing we can do when it comes to sleep. Learn that the problems of the world are not your problems. It sounds awfully selfish. The problems of the world are not my problems. They are a reality, yes, but they're not my reality. I create my own reality. And if I truly want to be of service to the world, am I more in service if I go into despair, if I go into anger, if I go into grief? Or am I more of service to this planet if I can stay in well-being, buoyancy, given that everything is a frequency state and mankind is one frequency and every single one of us are like waves on the ocean. The more waves that can stay in their well-being, that can stay in their positivity, that can stay in their own realities, that can stay in their own peace, the quicker this whole ocean will steady itself and settle. When we have waves that are in turbulence and lost, we are of such little service to this planet. We are just bringing more frequency of suffering into the planet, and that will not heal the planet. That will not heal mankind, and that does nothing for our own well-being. It does nothing for our families. You know, if I'm lost, I'm of such little use to Jenny, my wife. I'm such little use to my daughter. I'm of no use to them. I'm just a stumbling block. I'm another obstacle for them to deal with in their life. But me looking after my own little world, being selfish and looking after my own little world and staying in my own well-being is the greatest gift I can offer myself. It's the greatest gift I can offer my family. It's the greatest gift I can offer my friends, my community, my country, my planet. So turn off the news. The news is a separate reality as well. It's not a truth. It's other people's perspectives being touted as truth. I guarantee we know nothing about what's truly taking place on this planet. So turning off the news and not getting involved in the gossip. I see the news as like gossip. It's like if it's talking about somebody else's life and I don't actually know them and it has of no consequence to me, but I'm prepared to listen to somebody else talk about it who they don't know them either, and it's of no consequence to them either, apart from them making an awful lot of money off telling stories about these people they don't know. That's gossip. Turn off the gossip. We learn to become present in our own lives, and we'll find that we're more used to ourselves. Chances are our sleep states will change. You know, I love what you were saying just before. I thought it was all wonderful. But I was just thinking when you were speaking and you were saying, I know that there's this part of you that knows it's just a story, and you said that, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. But she said she's had this story in her life,
Yeah.
but she knows it's a story now.
You know, one of the things, we didn't think we could have kids, did we? I mean, we weren't what you'd call safe for
6 years.
6 years. And we assumed we couldn't have kids. I assumed I'm what we would call in the north a Jaffa, which is a seedless orange. So I thought I was a Jaffa.
You got tested and you weren't. We don't need this whole story about.
Should I?
No, not necessary.
It's a good story.
Sorry, like a Jaffa cake.
No, that's a Jaffa cake. That's a biscuit, mate. No, a Jaffa's an orange. You know the Jaffa in Jaffa cake? The
Yeah.
word Jaffa's an orange.
It's a type of orange.
Type of orange. That's why Jaffa cakes taste like oranges.
Not only am my thinking is free, I now know the type of orange.
That everybody, that's what an insight looks like. We're
I've
done.
never been able to eat
Done.
Jaffa cakes.
Done.
Just saying.
Changed your life, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah.
Move on.
Move on. Oh, it's such a good story.
Move on.
Move on. All right.
So we couldn't have children, and then suddenly,
And suddenly, one day, you walk upstairs with this waving this thing going, and you just looked at me and went, fuck. I looked at you and went, I was making a box at the time, a wooden box. And I remember I just looked at it and I just went back to making my box. I didn't say a thing. I was
an hour.
for an hour I carried on making my box. Louise, I'll let Louise in.
Yeah, she told me she was
I just went back to making my box. And then it was like, right, we need to get, hiya Louise. It was like, right, we need to go and get some pregnancy tests. And we went and got,
proper ones.
yeah, proper ones, not the quid ones.
99p one.
Yeah. So we went and got these 6 pregnancy tests. Turned out you're pregnant. But I came to the conclusion then that if a baby's going to come in, it's going to come in. You know, you hear about people getting pregnant and they're on the pill, they had a condom and all kinds of things. We know nothing about life. We know nothing about spirit. What we're talking about here, I know nothing. What I found about life is simply just the opening up to the mysterious, infinite nature of life. I know nothing. What I found changed my life, but I know nothing about it. So when you know, you hear about these people who are on the pill and then they've got a condom and they still get pregnant. You know, I just think when a baby's gonna come in, it's gonna come in. And another thing that came to me is, are we all supposed to have kids? I don't think so. Personally, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way that our realities are ordered. I don't know, Wend, if I believe in reincarnation. I believe that life is eternal, that form is just the expression of the force in this particular lifetime or this particular moment through which our spiritness gets to experience being this. And I had that reinforced a couple of years ago in Scotland when I sat in a croft and I listened to Gaelic being spoken, and I had this very visceral experience of remembering a life that I once lived as a crofter in Scotland. And it was a life I loved, full of music and wool of all things. It was wool, like wool. I remembered the wool and the community and the sea air, and I couldn't see it. I could feel it. I could feel the memory of it, and it was wonderful. I loved this life, and it explained so much about me today. I love Scotland. I love the west coast of Scotland. I want to live a crofting life. I've started to learn the penny whistle. Like, I still love woolly jumpers. And when I'm up Scotland, I'm in heaven. I love it. I absolutely adore it. And then 2/3 of the way through that life, I experienced losing somebody I loved dearly. Somebody I loved dearly died in this memory, and I wasn't expecting this to take place. Suddenly I'm hit with this grief, and the grief was so painful. I sat there and I cried my eyes out. I mourned whoever left, and whoever left was Jenny or Lucia in some capacity, and I don't know how or which it was, but somehow it was all there. And I cried and I mourned this person's loss, and it crippled me, and I had that experience till the end, the missing of this person till the end of my life, which is when I came back into this life kind of thing and was still sat in this croft with Gaelic being spoken over the speakers. And the emptiness I felt afterwards after mourning this person, and it was the most unbelievable experience, and it was really, really wonderful. And it was then that I realized why so much of my little quirks are why I am today. Like when it comes to keeping people safe, don't go, don't die, don't leave. And as a kid, like when my mum would drop a tissue or something and it would float down a river, and I'd cry. I remember screaming at the tissue, come back, come back, come back. I couldn't stand loss. And having that experience kind of answered so many things for why it made sense of who I am today, you know. And I believe, I don't expect anybody else to believe this, but I believe that, you know, it's true you don't take your money, your house, your car with you, but why you will, in my mind, you will carry with you experience, because experience is energetic, experience is memory, experience is thought, thought is spirit. So if we are eternal beings, then we are most likely going to be carrying around all this information from previous incarnations and experiences, and that made so much sense to me. So when, you know, I don't know if in this lifetime or the last lifetime perhaps, whether you had 20 kids. I don't have a clue. Maybe you had a shitload of kids, and this lifetime it's just like, no, this I'm gonna have a break. I'm gonna have a break this one, and I'm gonna experience what it's like just to live life as Wendy, and not have anybody hanging off me and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know. But I think we need to be open. I think the moment we find ourselves in a state of knowing, we're in a state of delusion. Rigidity of mind is one of the greatest causes of suffering on this planet. And like I said, I
Until
don't.
that guy says he wants to sleep with your wife, I don't think you're going to think that's an illusion.
Who is it? Who are you talking about?
No,
When?
but you know what I mean? I think that there are times when we say something
You've
like,
been
this is true.
you've been reading
Jeff,
my Telegram
Jeff,
messages.
Jeff Williams is my husband, and anybody that tries to come into my bed or my house or be with my husband, that's something I'm gonna have to deal with. That isn't very much of an illusion.
Open that mind, Wend. Open that mind. Never say never, Wend. I know you, Wend.
I'm saying never.
All right. Apart from that, why did you let me go down there?
Huh?
Why did you let me go down that route? Anyway. Cool. Anybody want to say anything? Any comments? Any reflections? Any observations?
I could probably go back to when you were like the original subject about sleeping. Because I used to get really worked up about not being able to sleep and not getting enough sleep. And I can't remember who said this to me. It might have been my mum. I can't remember. It's years ago. And I remember having this conversation. I was like, I can't sleep. Like I can't sleep. And then this person said to me, they're like, so did you sleep last night? I was like, yeah. Do you see yourself going to sleep tonight? No. Did you see yourself going to sleep last night, or did you still have the same? I can't sleep. I can't sleep. And I said, oh no, yeah, I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't sleep, but then I eventually drifted off. And yeah, I can remember. Yeah, I think it was one of my friends actually, and he said to me, he said, so what's the difference between you having 3 hours sleep and 8 hours sleep? You still go to sleep. You still are asleep. It doesn't like regardless of whether you have 3 hours or 8 hours, you're telling me that you can't sleep when in actual fact you can. So and he said to me, he was like, next time you're in bed and you feel like that you can't go to sleep, just say, right, do you know what? If I don't sleep, I don't sleep. That's it. There's nothing wrong with being awake. And the next night I was sat in bed and I could feel myself like starting to like tick and like it was starting to like go. And then I was like, right, bugger it, I'm just gonna sit here. If I'm up till 3, I'm up till 3. And then I woke up. Do you know what, like, and I found it so strange that just because I was sat there and I said to myself, do you know what? I'm not bothered if I don't go to sleep. Like, if I don't go to sleep and if I have 2 hours, it's better than none. And since then, that's all I ever do now. If I ever wake up in the middle of the night, I'll sit down and be like, "Ooh, this is interesting. This is new." And I'll sit and then I'll be like, "Oh, well, is this it now? Am I going to be up for the rest of the day?" Oh, it doesn't matter. And then I'll go back to sleep. It's as if as soon as I say it myself, "Oh, do you know what? It's okay if you're awake." Like that, I'm out. It's like it's just strange. It's the way that like I used to be so apprehensive about going to bed because I was so worried about not sleeping. And then it was just that sort of realization of thinking, do you know what? All these times that I've said, oh, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. When in actual fact, on that day, I don't know a day that I've never slept in 35 and a half years that I've been on this planet. So I think it just goes to show, I think it was a language thing, I think, me telling myself that, oh, you can't sleep, da, da, da. But in matter of fact, when you think about it, I've never not had a night's sleep. But like I said, regardless, 3 hours to 8 hours, it's still sleep, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that, Dan. I like that. And as you're speaking, I remember now, I mean, now if I'm having times when I can't sleep, which happens sometimes, I actually value the time. You know, there's not much of the day I get to sit down quietly without being spoken to, without being asked to make something at least twice, same thing, or make a car out of a piece of tissue that big or something like that. Like it's not very often I get to sit quietly and just be quiet. But when I wake up at night time now and I get that, oh, I can just be here and be quiet. I really value it. I value that experience. I see it as a gift.
So, so
Really.
100% same. It's as if something. It's like instead before, like I used to wake up and be like, oh, I'm awake. Like, why am I awake? But now, like, I'll literally sometimes I'll even get out of bed, open my blind, look out the window, just look at the street. There's nothing going on because I'm at the back end of a dead end road. But like, just look and like you just look at the trees and you look at the sky and you look at other people's houses like with no lights on, and it's mental. It's really like so strange. Like when I think about the difference between how I used to think about waking up in the middle of the night and going to sleep and how it is now. Can't get enough of it actually. I love a nap.
Yeah.
I'm mental for a nap now. I love it. I'll get in as whenever I can.
Yeah. Nice, dude. Thank you. Ange.
Can I just say, for the first 9 months of his life, he never slept. He just was terrible at sleeping.
All
I
right.
used just mute yourself. I used to walk the floor with him singing the Dad's Army theme tune, waiting for him to go to sleep. And my husband, Marsh, at the time, he said to me, because it was night after night after night, and he said to me, why don't you turn his cot round so the head's facing north? I can only sleep if my head's facing north. Turned the cot round with head facing north, and he slept from that night on. So it was obviously in the genes.
We didn't know Dan was a compass. That's
Yeah.
really useful to know when the shit hits the fan, right? And we need to orientate ourselves. We need to go and get Dan. We need to lie him down, turn him till he falls asleep. We know which way north is.
It's like
Thanks,
you,
Ange.
the full moon. Like you, when you said about the full moon, and you
Yeah.
slept better.
Yeah. I started
He's
full moons
dead.
are not. I'm one of them lunatics. That's really interesting. And could you sing the Dad's Army theme tune?
Who do you think we are kidding, Mr. Hitler? If you think old England's town, that's all you're getting. I used to walk the floor singing that to him, and then I'd put him in his cot, and he'd just like look up at me, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, and then we'd start again. And I'd look out the window and see all the road nice and quiet and everybody in bed. And it was me singing Dad's Army theme tune in his bedroom, getting him to sleep.
Singing a song about war to your child.
That's probably why I'm really into like World War documentaries and stuff as well now.
That's one thing actually I think we are incredibly grateful for. We've never had to walk up and down with Lucia. Like, she'll stay in bed.
Yeah.
She stays in bed.
She walks
She
around.
doesn't cry.
She
Like,
walks up and down, doesn't she?
she tries to, but horizontally.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount of people that have said about walking up and down, or going out in the car. So that's another thing. Like, even when I'm awake, but I'm in bed, I'm grateful. I'm still in bed and I'm still warm. I'm grateful.
Just rest.
Yeah.
Just that rest, time for rest. Yeah, there's so many, you can look at anything from an infinite amount of perspectives. And every time you look at it from a different perspective, it will change in appearance. It will change as an experience. It'll feel different. And
Yeah,
so,
in the middle of the night sometimes, when I've been awake for hours, I'm actually not I feel like I'm at breaking point. I'm like, right, I'm done with breastfeeding. I'm not doing this anymore. This is so hard. I'm exhausted. And by the next day, I'm like, oh,
you've pushed me off.
she's like,
I'm done with breastfeeding, Dave. Get off.
she's not going to ever be this age again. And actually, special time. And most of the time, it does feel like special time.
Yeah.
But there's just been the odd night where I'm just like, this is too much. I'm going mental. But it is that realization that there's so many different ways of looking at this. There's infinite ways of looking at the same thing, and some create like a beautiful life, and some create more thought. And yeah, what do you want to feed?
How are we doing with sleep? Do you want to talk about anything else? Anybody else? Anybody want to talk about anything else? Or do you want to stick on sleep? I mean, it's an interesting topic. I certainly don't hold all the answers, but
I have a lot of thinking about something that I would love because I don't know there's anybody. Oh no, Dan's from the United States, right?
it's Donald Trump.
No, no, not specifically. Thank you very much. But there's a related, yes. Up until January, if somebody had said something's going on in the UK or in Spain, like Viva or this or that, I'd be like, oh, I hope I can get a good plane ticket and I'm gonna save my pennies and I'm gonna go. I have thinking that if I show up with a US passport in any other country besides my own right now, that I'm gonna get spit at, stared at, fuck you. I don't know, but that's what and I would feel like I get it. I understand. Let me wipe the spit from my face. I understand, and you're entitled to flip your bird at me. I get it, but I just don't feel like going through that. So, on a related note, I was just invited to be a breakout speaker at an event that you people know about in Spain. And I had already made up my mind that I wasn't going to be traveling anytime soon. And then I get that from Sheila and Sue. And I'm like, so I have thinking about traveling as a United States citizen that it's not going to be a pleasant experience anymore for a while.
It's
That's
true.
my thinking.
The Americans are waking up, aren't they? They're starting to notice that we're flipping them the bird as they walk. We've been doing that for years, Wend. Years we've been doing.
Yeah, but nobody flipped it at me personally, but I have a feeling that they will flip it at me personally because I have an American passport or an American accent. And I
Tend to
can
be
see
Canadian.
people
You don't know
smiling.
the
I can
difference.
see people smiling on this Zoom call. So they know there's something that I'm touching here that is true. There's some truth to that's what I'm guessing that the smiles mean. That people say, yeah, you could be right. You do come from an asshole country. And I'd be like, I
It's an
know.
arsehole country that's starting to wake up to realize it's an arsehole country. That's the wonderful thing. I am
I
joking.
think,
I might have to edit that bit out.
yeah, you do
Because
have
that
to edit that bit out.
that genuinely was a joke. What I would like to say to that personally, Wend, is genuinely, I think that's an absolute load of crap.
Oh, yeah, and if we're in England when you go to Spain, come and visit us as well.
Mhm.
Who's gonna berate you for being American?
And also, we honestly don't know the difference between American and Canadian
No, we
accent.
don't.
So just say you're Canadian.
Like, if
You
you're
won't walk around
Aussie,
with your
just pretend to
passport.
be a New Zealand person. It's fine, you know.
That's true. I could be a Canadian and people would feel sorry for me. And I am French Canadian. You might have just solved my problem.
Look, it's sort
But
of-
I remember also
And
after 9/11, I think it was after 9/11, is when basically I think the world was just thinking,
was
and
anti-Islamic.
no, it was when I think maybe when we went to when we actually then went to war, like Tony Blair and
Oh yeah,
um
Iraq.
and I think America and UK was just by the rest of the world was just looking. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was when I was going traveling.
Damn right too.
And I had quite a lot of thinking about being British and traveling, thinking, God, what people are going to think of us. And so I had a lot
yeah,
of thinking about that at that time. But I remember everyone knows that the people of a country are individuals.
Yeah.
Like,
And if
I think most people in the UK kind of know that it's not the American, all American people have chosen.
like it's not the
I
Russian.
know. But 50% or more of us have done
And
the unthinkable.
that 50%,
So they're not going to be able to know if I'm one of the ones that did the unthinkable.
that 50% also is made up of really, really wonderful people.
No, not none of them are nice. Not one. I know them all. I know them all.
We know both sides, and I tell you what,
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's just
I'm being
everybody
silly.
welcome. Don't overthink that, love.
You're welcome in Europe.
You're welcome.
Dan just
Say that we said it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
You know, I think everybody loves Canadians. So like I have t-shirts, you know, that say Canada. You get some luggage tags that say Canada. And you know, where
Okay, I'll do it. I'm
you don't
sold.
have to
All
you don't
right.
have to lie or anything.
You've solved my dilemma.
People will just
You've solved
assume
my,
you don't have to even say anything, you know, if
right.
you're yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Thank
And
you. And like I said, I am French Canadian. Maybe I'll drop my name Williams and be Wendy Leglois, which is French
uh,
Canadian. That's my
yeah.
middle name. So maybe I'll just do that. And yeah, it'll be a whole charade, and I'll be happy to do it. Yeah.
See, we can solve
Thank you.
any problem. We can solve any problem.
That took about 3.5 minutes. I'm very appreciative. Thank you all.
You're welcome, but you're not welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, but you're not welcome here. But you are welcome.
Dave, my heart was just fixed up and then you just ripped it open again. No, I'm kidding.
Have
think-
faith in this goodness of this world and the goodness of life.
Louise, were you going to say something?
Me? Yeah, I was thinking you are welcome here in Greenland, even though the president and the others are threatening us. I know many people are not thinking like that in the US. So you are pretty welcome here. And I think many people in the world thinks also like that. That's my thoughts.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Louise. But us English, us Brits aren't welcome. The thing is, we've been taught to box people off. Okay. And the moment we box people off, say, for example, let's go global, the Russians. Oh, the Russians. I had to have a conversation with my mum. I was like, she's talking about the Russians, and I'm like, Mum, the Russians are just people like you and me. They just want a quiet life. They don't want bothering. They don't want dragging into war. They just want to put some food on the table for their families, love one another, go to work, mind their own business, not be taxed the hell out of, and just have a nice, quiet life. They're people just like us. The Russians are not bad people. They are awesome people. They're human beings, like the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are not bad people. 99.9999% of them are wonderful, wonderful people who just want to put food on the table, go to work, have a quiet life, not be taxed the hell out of, just leave me the hell alone, just let me just enjoy my life. Then you've got the Americans. A good 7 or 8% of them are wonderful people. Joking when I am joking. 99.99999999% of them are absolutely beautiful, wonderful people who just want leaving the hell alone. They don't want taxing the hell out of. They don't want dragging into war. They don't want to fund war. They don't want to fund this. They don't want to fund that. They just want a nice, quiet life. You know, and if we can start looking at people like conservatives and Democrats as being people too, you know, like we have Labour, we have Conservative, we have Lib Dem and all that stuff, and you've got, I don't know, Wendy's had to disappear off screen while she goes and fires a few at me. Well, she's come back to do it. You know, and you've got the Trump supporters, you've got the non-Trump supporters, but I tell you, this world's not going to heal until people are allowed to think their own thoughts without being beaten down, without being categorized and boxed off as being not worthy or not. I shouldn't listen to those people. They can't teach me anything or they can't hear anything. You know, this world's going to change. I keep saying it. This world will only change when we stop trying to get everybody to think the same way and we start to accept that people all think differently. That's when this world will change. When we stop trying to get everybody to think the same way, becoming our mission to make people think like me. There's plenty of that going on. That's what the mainstream media is all about. It's what news is all about. It's about getting people to think the same way. It's about creating a narrative. And most people believe the narrative. But when we start to realize we have our own freedom of creative force, we can think for ourselves, we can question, we can do our own research, we can look into things ourselves in the same way as other people can. And they might not come to the same conclusion as us, but it doesn't make them bad people. It means that they live in a separate reality, which was where we started in the first place. So nothing really changes. It's like, I don't know, everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. When we can learn to love those that bring us the most trouble in our lives, when we can learn, I think it was Jesus said, love thy enemy. When we can learn to do that, when we can, Wendy's really got something to say. When we can learn to do that, we are starting to heal the world. When we can start to see that there are people who think so differently to us, and you look at them and you go, what the actual hell? I mean, I do that with Jenny. Like, what the hell are you thinking? And she looks at me like, what the hell are you thinking? But we still love one another. When we can learn to extend that out to this world, we will bring around a swift healing of this planet. Because the only thing that's creating the suffering and the division is our beliefs. Not just our beliefs, but our rigidity of thought, our rigidity of mind, and our unwillingness to bend, our unwillingness to be flexible, our unwillingness to love something that perhaps believes in something very different to us. But my belief and Jenny's belief, they're the same thing. They're just showing up in different ways. So I would let go of that idea, you're not welcome, Wend, because I think you're creating an even bigger problem than actually exists. I don't think there's even a problem.
No, I could see that interpersonally, like you said. Yeah. I agree. Like I say, on this level of these people, you people, me, we're just peons, but
What does that mean?
people that are, we don't make the rules. We don't, you know,
You're not?
but if I was from Venezuela and my uncle just got carried off by the United States government and had his head shaved because he was suspected of being a bad man, I personally would have some stake in that. And that's because I don't have a say in that. I can say, oh, everybody, poor Trump, he's just living in a separate reality. But yet his policies took my uncle or my dad or my brother or my husband and shaved his head and shipped him back to Venezuela. So there are real world things that are unlikely to be attached to me because of my station in life, but I'm still part of that machine as an American that I don't like,
But
and I don't want to
that
be.
machine only exists in the mind. And I mean that insofar as, what's that? I sound biblical and religious. I'm not. But that saying of Jesus, be in this world, but not of it. It's like you can be in the system, but not of it. Personally, I stay the hell as best I can out of the system. I don't like the system. I don't like our system. I think it's controlling. I think it's disempowering in a lot of respects for people who haven't woken up, certainly. But I think when we start to stand in our own power, when we realize that we are the creators of our own experience of life, and the only thing I need to take care of is my little world. That's all I need to take care of. I can't change somebody else's reality in Venezuela. I can't even change the reality of somebody sat in front of me. They have to change their own. It's like when I take care of my world and I actively choose do you know what my activism is in this world? My activism is peace. My activism is staying happy. My activism is buoyancy. My activism is optimism. My activism is I spend money where I want to see grow and I don't fund that I won't buy Nestle.
Mhm.
I don't buy Coca-Cola. I don't buy any of these companies that do harm to people. I mean, there's certain things I need to do, like put diesel in my vehicle. Bit of a bugger. Best one in the UK apparently. Best one in the UK apparently is Merco. Not advertising Merco, but apparently that's the best, most had the least environmental damage of any of the. We've done our research of any of the oil companies available to us in the UK is Merco. I don't go to SO, it's Exxon, one of the greatest, most corrupt companies on the planet. You know, so I put my money where I want to see funded. Jen and I shop as best we can at the local organic shop. Why? Because we want to see less chemicals put on our food. You know, chemicals cause cancer. Why the fuck are we eating them? Why are they being put on our food in the first place? Ridiculous. Sort it out. You know, and so we put our money where we can, where we want to see grow. We want to help the little local community shop. We love the people there, and we want to help fund organic growing. You know, so we're not powerless. The thing that people have done is they've allowed a group of people to dictate their lives for them. And it's come to the point now, one of the reasons I do my work is because I want people to wake up and stand up. Stand up in their way, stand up in peace, stand up in love, come together in love, and there'll be times when we need to stand up and just go unitedly. No, we're not doing that. There will need to be times when we need to do that, but we don't have to go out on the streets and we don't have to break windows and throw petrol bombs. We can do it by simply just going, no, I'm not doing that, and walk in the other direction, standing in our true sovereign state of spiritual essence. The people who make the decisions are no more powerful than us. Not in consciousness, certainly not. We have so much power. Each and every single one of us is so powerful. We have the capacity to channel information, new information from the ether in through our being and into this world. We can come up with solutions to all kinds of problems. We're not powerless. We're the most powerful frigging thing in the universe. We just haven't realized it. And that's the thing we need to be doing. Each of us now needs to be standing in our power, standing in our peace, standing in our sovereignty. By doing that, we bring that frequency into mankind. Every single one. It won't take everybody to do it to create a tipping point. Look at the 100th monkey effect. High frequency always cancels out low frequency in physics. Think beautiful, optimistic thoughts. Bring it about. Bring it into this world as best we can. See the world you want to live in and become it. Be that world. Be the thing you want. I remember just last week I met a fellow. I was following him, his motorbike, his tire burst. I picked him up. I said, I'll give you a lift. He had his bike and I give him a lift back into Kendal. And as we were driving along, I could smell this burning rubber. I thought, am I having a stroke? No, I'm not. It's the car in front of me. Tire burst out. A lady driving.
Wow.
Yeah, she pulled over. So me and this fella called Pep, we jumped out. He stopped the traffic on the main road and slowed it down. And I changed this lady's wheel. And
Was his motorbike in your vehicle?
no, he
Oh.
left hand side the road. And we changed this lady's wheel. And she was really panicky. She was chronically deaf. And we jumped in the van. And Pep said to me, he said, "You're a good man, you." I said, "Oh, thanks, Pep." I just said, I said, I want to live in a beautiful world. So if I want to live in a beautiful world, I have to be that world I want to live in. And he went, "I like that." Well, yeah, I like it as well. And that's the thing. That's all. We just need to look after our little world.
It's like
Just-
if it didn't matter what political party she was, it didn't matter what religion,
No.
what she believed, what kind of person she was. It's like, your tire's blown out, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
I think it's seeing just
Yeah.
people rather than any label.
That's right. It's the label, the made up labels that are dividing us. And there's no division. There's no division. It's an illusion of our mind. The division doesn't exist. There is no us and them. It's all a state of ego. It's all just an illusion of the mind. I got a phone call off that lady that day, and she just said to me, "I cannot believe you stopped. I cannot believe you stopped." I said, "Well, I wasn't going to see you stuck. Thankfully, she had a spare, because a lot of cars nowadays don't carry a spare wheel. They just have some squirty stuff you put over you. You put over you. She said to me as I knocked on the window, she was terrified. She said, I've pulled over because my car says I've got a low tire pressure warning." I was like, "You've got low tire pressure, trust me." And I just pulled the drivey flat bit of the tire off the wheel. Like, "You've got really low pressure." But she said, I just said, "It's no problem. Just that act of kindness." She said, "I'll never forget it." And there you go, great. She said it meant a lot to her that I stopped and helped her, but it was 10 minutes for me. It's no big deal. But it meant a lot to that lady. And that's really where we need to be putting our power into helping one another, not dividing, not trying to conquer one another, not stop that conquering stuff. We need to stop it. We need to stop it with our families. We need to stop it with our communities. We need to stop it internationally. It's never worked. It's just brought suffering and pain and division and hatred, and which creates war and more of the same. It's the same perpetual thing, just showing up in a different way. We need to come together in love and accept that people just see a different reality to us, and love them for it, and learn from them, and understand that they have knowledge that perhaps we could glean information from. Yeah, no, when you are so welcome. I think you might be building something a bit bigger than actually. It would never even cross my mind that you wouldn't be welcome somewhere.
Crossed my mind.
Yeah, just because it crossed the mind doesn't mean it's true.
No. But I'm gonna see if I can get Trump's Telegram phone number so you can invite him next time we have community group. And see if you can talk him into you know, being we are the world and we're love. See if he can get him on board with what we think. That'd be great.
The thing is, I don't actually know what he thinks. I don't know.
No, we can't know what anybody thinks. All we can do is judge by behavior. You're absolutely right.
I mean, I also
When we don't know them, when we don't know them.
The only information that we have is what's presented to us through somebody else's lens of reality. And I personally, this is why I don't watch the news, because I know it's a separate reality. And the only place people are getting their information from is from media. I've never met the man. I don't know him. Sometimes I look at him and think he looks like an absolute clown. Sometimes I think, well, he's talking a bit of sense there. That does need sorting out. I don't agree with all his policies. Some of them I do agree with from what I've heard, but I don't know. I also
Yeah.
I look at our politicians in this country. The thing is about America, it's loud. America's a loud country. It's a no holds barred, not holding back. We are what we are. Take us or leave us is America. Like us or lump us, whatever. But we're here. The UK is polite. We're polite. We're polite people. We're don't offend people. Don't offend people. The same corruption goes on in our government, but it's done in such a polite way, done by people who speak so politely, in such educated manner. But the same corruption and stuff goes on in our country. We've got to go through what your country is going through, I reckon, in the not too distant future. Because things are changing, and the reason why things are changing is because human consciousness is changing. Because human consciousness is changing, people behave differently. Now, if you change the bottom tier of society, us, illusionary, bottom of the triangle, you change that foundation, you change the top. The top will not like it, it'll become unstable. Because people are thinking differently. They're starting to speak out. They're starting to speak up. They're starting to put the money where they choose, what they want. People are starting to realize that buying their way to happiness doesn't work. Now, that doesn't work for a triangle where the top of it is a financial institution, the banking system. It doesn't work. That really doesn't, people just simply buying secondhand pisses them right off. In the UK, they're bringing in a bill to say if you're selling secondhand, you're going to get taxed on it. So
Over £1,000.
anything over £1,000, well, you can quickly have £1,000 if you sell a push bike. So, yeah, we need to just be standing in our own power now. There's very, very few in our country, I'll speak for our country, things that come into this through our government system that are bringing us more freedoms. They're bringing more and more restrictions in, more and more restrictions on our rights to do things. So it's very, very rare something actually comes in that opens up a freedom to people. We get charged for everything. You get charged for going to the toilet now. 50 pence to take a piss. It's the most natural thing. And in my town, the council took out all the public toilets. I mean, they're great. They're really
gosh.
working on behalf of the people. Old people have to go into shops and say, "Can I use your toilet, please?" And if there isn't the shops open, say it's Sunday, then they've really got a problem. It's horrible. So no, this world is changing, and it's changing because the consciousness of mankind is changing. And it's creating chaos because we've lived with a system that's worked. All right, it hasn't been fair, but it's worked. It's worked to a degree insofar as everybody knew where they stood and they got along in it. But now people aren't getting along in it. People are skint. Many people are skint. Work's collapsing for many people. The government, how many prime ministers have we had in the last 5 years? They can't hold
Can
them
I ask, can I ask you what that word is? SKIN?
skint. Skint, oh my
Yeah.
apologies. Poor.
Poor.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You translate it now.
We're just,
I've got off on a rant.
but poor could also, people might not know what that means.
Right.
Poor.
Yeah. Broke. No money.
Broke. That'll do. Thanks. We all know that. Yeah. So I went off on a rant. I don't have any opinions on any of that. I'll tell you if I do. But no, it's
All right,
this.
but I do like the Canadian edge. I'm going to take everybody up on that. I'm going to get some t-shirts and luggage tags, and I'm going to chop off my last name while I'm over there. Be Langlois. It's all going to work. So that's good.
Don't get me
Thank you.
started on Justin Trudeau.
Are you going to, are you going to Spain? Or are you going to be in one of those conferences in Alberta?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just invited to be a breakout speaker, and I'm like, what? Me? So I'm excited about that. But she said, you haven't answered my email. I said, I'm not opening any emails from Spain because I'm not going because there's a target on I didn't say that to her, but I said, I'm just not opening emails. And then when she said, well, you usually open my emails, so could you just read that one? So I read it. And I was like, so I might have to rethink my position on travel.
It's funny, one of the things that
I'd come
occurs
to
to
your
me
thing.
is I think from people that I know, most people are just feeling so sorry for America at the moment because of the division, because of the all of the opposing ideas, because of the chaos that's kind of taking place. I've only really met people that have sympathy and empathy
And love.
for what's going on out there. So I haven't met anyone that's like, I'm so angry with Americans right now. Like, I've not met anyone like that. So it's just interesting that you said that because it would have been the furthest thing from my mind that might have crossed your mind.
Yeah, me too.
And
That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
Me too. That's kind of where I was.
yeah, it's like a weird thing that you could it's very far out of our reality and our kind of circuit.
Quite a shock, in fact, to hear it.
Well, it's like this for me, it's like a cloak of shame, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna charge you what to send over your iced tea to us? We're gonna do that. We're trying to take over the world and buy countries. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. So maybe it's just my own sense of shame.
I said the
As
other day as well, every country has done it at some point in history.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, we're the
the
UK.
whole world has just been colonized and
that's
taken
true.
over, and like we're all in it together.
We had to hand you back your country peacefully.
Mm,
So
Thank you for doing it. We appreciate it.
in 75.
Mhm.
I think that's what it was, wasn't it? But I don't think it was even that peaceful, but no. I think you're all right, Wen.
All right. Thank you. Thinking resolved. On to the next dilemma.
Good, we're doing well. Dan's discovered a Jaffa is an orange. and Wendy is no longer ashamed of being Canadian. Perfect. Anybody else? Solve any problem here. Bring them on. Perpetual motion.
I just wanted to say, on the video last week, I said that we had an online retreat, and I gave the wrong dates. Our online retreat is Saturday the 5th of April to Monday the 7th. I think I said 4th to 6th, but it is the Saturday the 5th, which I think is a 5th. Saturday the 5th to Monday the 7th.
And where can people find out more about this retreat?
In the description below and on our website, freedomthinking.co.uk,
And on Facebook?
and on Facebook,
Where would they go? If, for
Freedom
example,
Thinking
oh,
on Facebook.
and on our Telegram channel by any chance?
I don't know about
Or
Telegram.
WhatsApp? Is that available?
People on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
On WhatsApp.
Yep.
And if you want to join our WhatsApp, text the number that's going to be in the description below.
Are we putting our personal telephone numbers on YouTube?
I don't know.
No.
Why am I doing this bit? I don't know anything about it.
No. No, don't do that. No, we won't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're interested in attending the retreat, it's open to everybody. But I think we're gonna have to sort that out because it's Zoom bombing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We're
interesting.
gonna have to have the time thing added on unless people get in touch and let us know that they're going to be joining.
And if we don't send a direct link, you just send the meeting ID and the password. I don't think it's open to Zoom bombers. I think it's only the direct link that's open to Zoom bombers.
Right, I'm gonna let you do that because you know what you're talking about. And so yeah, so what were the dates?
5th to the 7th of April. Double check that. It woke me up the other night. I was like, I said the 4th to the 6th. That's the wrong date.
Yeah, so we got that retreat. We're also looking at doing an in-person retreat because quite a lot of people have asked us about doing an in-person retreat. So that's probably going to be looking at a venue down in Suffolk, aren't we? Suffolk, which is in the southeast of England, so not too far from Ange and Dan. At least you don't have to go over the Pennines. Save you a few quid in diesel from going uphill. It's downhill all the way to Suffolk from the northeast.
I'm looking at places up here and down there to see which is
Okay, it might cost you a few quid in fuel. So we're looking at doing an in-person retreat as well, which will be really nice because we haven't done one for a long time, have we?
Maybe you can come to my part of the country and do an in-person retreat right in the inn where Paul Revere drove by and said, "The British are coming, the British are coming, get out, get out." And that'd be fun, don't you think?
Could we have that as we're coming in?
Yes, I could make that arrangement. Yes, somebody on horseback going, "The British are coming, the British are coming." Yeah, we could do that. Mhm.
Would they be as happy this time as they were last time?
The redcoats are coming. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
I've got a red coat.
Oh, you just reminded me.
We'll do
Thank
that.
you. Completely. It's
No,
not.
but do come to the United States sometime. Please come to the United States.
I hadn't run this past you, but I
I'm
think
never
you'll
going to
be
go
alright
there
with
again, love.
it. It's
I'm joking. I'm joking.
on a more. It's on a more serious. Sorry to bring the tone down a little bit. I was going to say if people have time at the end, just for 1 minute, I just wanted to do 1 minute silence. Today was the funeral of a little girl that was killed in Kendal a few weeks ago when I don't know the details, but a car went from a car park into a rugby pitch, and she just arrived at her football training. Yeah, it's football.
Yeah, it was an AstroTurf.
Yeah. So today in Kendal, what the family had said, if people could wear red, and like the streets were just like filled with people in red, and people filled the streets in memory of her because she loved Manchester United and
Poppy Atkinson.
she wanted to be a famous footballer. And I was with Lucia today, and I haven't wanted to draw attention to. She doesn't need to know about it at her age, so we weren't part of it because she would have asked too many questions. But I just thought it'd be nice tonight if we could just do 1 minute, just sending her and her family, friends, everyone.
And the man who was in the car who hit her, we'll send her love. We'll start to draw this to an end. So yeah, because we're pretty much bang on 9 o'clock. It's unheard of that we finish on time. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this, if you got to the end, if you've even made it this far, and you're still watching on YouTube, we're sorry. Sorry, yeah, right, well done. We're sorry. And America, we love you. By the way, that is so true. We really do. It is full of wonderful people. And the times we have spent there, we've met the most amazing people. Didn't like Hollywood, but I loved everywhere else. And we've been on amazing walks, and some of our greatest friends are American. So we love you, America. God bless America. And yes, you are welcome. You are welcome outside of your country. You are welcome. So don't forget that. And you don't need to pretend to be Canadian. Yeah, if you've made it this far and you've enjoyed what you've heard, the xenophobia and whatever else, the non-wokeness, then consider making a donation. You can make a donation to PayPal at info@freedomthinking.co.uk. The link will be in the description underneath. And you can make a donation to buy me a coffee. The link will be in the description below. Hopefully that should be quite simple now. And then you can make a donation by getting in contact with us at info@freedomthinking.co.uk, and we'll send you our bank details if you wish to make a donation via bank transfer. A few people do that. Buy me a coffee's cool because it's simple, it's quick, and also gives you options in there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Oh, and also if you want to work with Jenny and I directly, get in touch. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. We work with people. You know, we work with individuals, we work with groups, we work with in all kinds of places. So please get in touch with us. We love people, even American people. We love you. You are welcome. Wendy's giving me the fist. Typical bloody warmongering Yanks. Look at her going to war again. Bloody hell. No, seriously, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. And we send you all so much love. And we look forward to seeing you next Monday. Wendy.
Are we going to have that 1 minute of silence together before you hang up? Okay.
Yeah, but I'll stop the recording.
Oh, okay.
I'll stop the recording.
Okay.
Loads of love, everyone.